Hi there, my name is Phixfox and welcome to Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. Today's video is going to be focusing on the Daylight School of Magic that you will find in Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. In future videos, we will go over Nightshade, Primal, and Arcane Magic, but for now, let's take a look at the spells that are found in the School of Daylight Magic. Daylight Magic is the school of magic that is meant to buff your own forces, protect them, and ultimately keep them being the very best that they can be. And starting off, we are going to have in the tier 1 spells, we're going to have the Blessing spell. Blessing spell is kind of a twist on the Bless spell you had from Heroes 1, 2, 3, and beyond, where it would just cause your forces to do the max range of damage that they had. Blessing, instead of doing that, is going to give you a flat percentage increase to your damage, starting off at 10%, going all the way up to 25%. And if you get this to the second upgrade break point of this spell, then it will affect all friendly creatures in your army. Good spell if you want to do lots and lots of damage. Moving on, we have Healing Water. Healing Water is going to do about what you would expect it to do. It is going to heal a certain amount of hit points per spell power that your hero has. As you get it leveled up, though, this spell can be pretty cool because at the second level, it will trigger twice. It will trigger in whatever round of combat you are casting it, and then it will also trigger again at the beginning of the next round of combat. So it can have multiple uses there. And then, of course, if you get up to tier 3, it's going to affect all creatures, making it pretty valuable to me, if I do say so myself. From there, we're going to have our final tier 1 spell for battle spells. That's going to be the Haste. Haste is an old classic, and it does exactly what you think it would do. This is going to increase the speed of whatever creature is targeted. As you level it up, it can potentially counteract the effects of the Web spell, Web being the equivalent of a slow to Heroes 1, 2, and 3 and beyond. But the Haste spell can be used to make your forces go much faster than they otherwise would have. That's going to do it for the tier 1 spells in Daylight Magic. Moving on to tier 2, we're going to start off with Inner Light. This is not going to affect the undead or constructs, but it's going to reduce the duration of negative effects applied to creatures for a certain amount of time. As you level up the spell, it will not only do your creature that you are selecting, but it will also reduce the impact of negative spells to your entire army. So right now my Medusa are sharp and shiny. They are not going to be affected by any negative spells at the current juncture. Next, we have Favorable Wind. While Blessing is going to give you a flat percentage increase to your basic attacks, Favorable Wind is going to do the same, but is more specifically tailored to ranged creatures, creatures with a long reach attack, and the damage increase is actually much, much higher, going all the way up to 45%. For these Medusa, that actually means an awful lot. Right now, our damage range is 167 to 302. If I am to cast Favorable Wind, that's going to get us up to 436. That's about an extra 100%. Now, this is for only 6 Medusa. Medusa are already a pretty powerful unit, but really 45% bonus damage, you just can't go wrong with that. So Favorable Winds, really nice if you have a big stack of ranged creatures. Moving on, we have the Shortened Shadow spell, which is going to be one of the few debuffing spells that you have in the Daylight School of Magic. Daylight, you generally, of course, buffing yourself. This one instead is going to nerf your enemy and reduce their attack and their defense. It can also, in the upper tiers of Mastery, dispel the Enlarge Shadow ability, which is meant to buff the enemy troops. And so it affects all creatures. Pretty good, pretty good. It shouldn't affect me, though. I don't know why. Why did that affect me? That was weird. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. Okay. Next up, we have Weakening Ray, which will remove 1 counterattack charge from an enemy. As you level up Weakening Ray, it will actually take out all of the charges for an entire stack. So, for example, if you have troglodytes or if you have griffins, those are creatures that are known to have multiple counterattacks. Weakening Ray, as you level it up, will remove all of the counterattack charges instead of just 1. I really, really love this spell. If I don't have it, I'm honestly looking for it. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to buy it for my own purposes in my Mage Guild. Next up in tier 3, moving on to tier 3 spells, we have Arena's Touch, which is going to give you additional initiative and extra hit points. It only gives you the extra initiative as you level it up. Base level, it just gives you the hit points, but a really good spell all around. Can't go wrong with additional HP. From there, we also have the Song of Power. Song of Power is a really, really cool ability, a really, really cool spell, because it's going to reset the cooldown of your creature's uses, like of their own abilities that they have. For example, my Hydras here, or rather my Medusa, they have the Slither Away ability where I can slither away and then I can fire because the Slither Away lets me move to a new hex and then shoot again. If I want to cast that again, I have to wait 2 turns. I can always cast Song of Power, and now the cooldown has been reset. So I really enjoy that spell because it helps me keep my forces moving again and again. If you have lots and lots of your focus charges, I anticipate the Song of Power is going to be an excellent spell. If you are the Sylvan faction, I anticipate Song of Power is going to be impossibly cool to use. Moving on, we have the Taunt spell. Taunt does about what you would expect it to do. When cast on a unit, it means that all the enemy creatures around them are going to want to attack that stack of creatures. Now, as you level it up, it's going to be pretty important to level it up because it's going to increase not only the base level of duration of how long the taunt will last, but it will also increase the radius around that unit for how many hexes are affected. So one interesting note with the taunt spell is that when the taunt spell is used, I have seen AI units not attack the taunted affected unit. Instead, they will just not attack anybody for that round, and I guess that does about what I would hope for it to do anyway. Whether the enemy has attacked the taunted unit or not, I guess it doesn't really matter to me too much unless I was really hoping for that counter attack. So taunt, good spell, like that. Repulse, this is going to not affect magic creatures, so unfortunately I cannot actually click this for the Medusa Queen. I can't really show you what's going to do there, but all friendly creatures, or rather these friendly creatures, are going to have the ability to counterattack before the enemy's attack lands. So if you have a counterattack charge, the enemy will attack you, and as they're attacking you, you're going to get to hit them first. As you level the spell up, you're going to get bonus counterattacks, and you're going to be able to affect all friendly creatures on the battlefield. It says that the Medusa, it says that they got affected just because I can cast it, only because it was to affect all creatures on the battlefield. But again, because these are magical creatures, the Medusa are not actually affected by that spell. Into the tier 4 spells, we've got Vengeance. Vengeance is going to cause the enemies to take damage if they attack a target friendly creature. So this is going to be some sort of incentive to prevent them from doing damage to you. And as you level this up, it's going to also not only affect things like melee damage and things like that, but also like ranged basic attacks and things of that nature. So this is a good way to say, hey, if you want to hit me, you can hit me, but this is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. Oh, we are just gonna, what the heck? Stop it. Okay. Alrighty. Moving on from there with Vengeance, we move on into Radiant Armor. Radiant Armor is going to cause friendly creatures to take reduced damage by a percentage. It starts off at 20%. The thing that I'm not too sure about is that there are things like physical damage, magic damage, and pure damage. When I see it reduces damage by a flat amount, I'm not actually sure if that flat damage reduction means that pure damage will be reduced or not. Generally, pure damage is, hey man, this damage is coming and it can't be mitigated or affected in any sort of way. I do wonder if Radiant Armor is the exception. We're gonna have to find out some of those use cases there. Good spell there though. Flat damage reduction, can't go wrong. Next up in the tier 4 spells, we have Heavenly Blades. This is not going to turn you into a vampire, although I kind of wished it would. What it's going to do is it's going to cause your creatures to do additional pure damage. There's that pure damage. And then it will restore the same amount of hit points as the pure damage that you've dealt to enemy creatures. So it's not going to revive your stacks. It's not going to allow you to just completely drain tank through everything. But for example, you cast Heavenly Blades on a high hit point creature like an angel or something. Yeah, that creature is probably going to continue to do a bunch of damage, and it's going to be very difficult for the enemies to bring them down. As you buff up this spell, though, it gets really nifty because it will affect all of your creatures in your army. And if you get this to the highest tier level of magic, it will also instantly destroy summoned creatures and temporary stacks. So things like the ghosts and the phantasm stacks, or any kind of summoned creatures like Star Children. Really, really cool to see that there's some counterplay to summoned creatures there in Olden Era. And then on this last page here, we got 2 spells. We've got number 1, Judgment and Arena's Choice. Unfortunately, we've run out of spell points. Very, very sad. That last web really did cost us. But Judgment is going to be the tier 5 spell. This is going to do damage. Think of Implosion. Think of like a really hefty sort of lightning bolt or something. It's got a high base damage and it scales pretty darn well. Judgment is going to absolutely obliterate a stack of enemy creatures. Right now with 11 spell power, this is going to be doing 960 magic damage. That feels like a lot, but it's high cost. So yeah, well, you know, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Then lastly, in the tier 5 for daylight magic, we have Arena's Chosen. This is going to prevent a stack size that is affected from dropping below that percentage of creatures. So for example, if I had 10 Medusa here and I was to cast this Arena's Chosen upon them, if there was 10 Medusa, they could never at tier 1 drop below 20% of that initial stack size. They would always have at least 2 Medusa left. 2 out of 10, 20%. As you increase the spell power and the aptitude with this spell, then that percentage is going to get all the way up to potentially 50% of the minimum stack size. So there's going to be reduced damage being taken during this time, and also you cannot go below that 50%. Worth noting, if you have Sister Dira from the Warlock faction, that she's got the Masterful Arena's Chosen spell, and it will also do some nifty things like give you extra actions per round. So thanks to the Heroes community for helping me learn about those kind of little nuances. But Arena's Chosen, pretty cool spell. I'm excited to see how well we can use that moving on. And folks, that is going to be all of the combat spells for daylight magic. It's worth noting that we also do have From a Bird's Eye, which is going to reveal the borders of all the areas, including those hidden by the Fog of War. And we're also going to have the Clear Fog ability up in the tier 4 spells. That's going to just reveal a patch of the global adventure map once per day, so you can do some long range scouting.